In the last class, we have learnt about linear mapping, its definitions, few examples, and then there was the kernel of a linear mapping that is generally denoted by ker-T, and the subspace formed by that ker-T called the null space, and the dimension of that null space has a particular name which is nullity. Similarly, we have learnt about the image of a linear mapping which is denoted by image T, and it is also from a subspace of the codomain set. So its dimension is known as rank, right? And we have learned that there is a relation between the nullity and the rank, which is nullity plus rank equals the dimension of the domain set. Let us take the domain as V. That is, T is from V to W is a linear mapping. Then its sum of their dimensions will be equal to the dimension of V. This was a very important result. And apart from that, we have learned that T will be an injective mapping, injective linear mapping if and only if ker-T equal to the singleton set theta. And we have proved this also. And we checked few examples on ker-T, image T, and that particular theorem. We have learnt about it. Now moving to the next part. At first, let us solve some examples. Here in the question, some images of some elements are given. Then we have to find out the linear mapping. That is the rule of the linear mapping. Generally what happened, the rule of the linear mapping is given. Then we, under this rule, what element will map onto what element, we need to find out that. But in this problem, the reverse is given. That is, images of some elements are given. We need to find out the actual rule which is applicable for all the elements of the domain set. We need to find out that the particular rule for that linear mapping. So the question is, determine the linear mapping T. Determine the linear mapping T from R cube to R square, from R cube to R square, which maps the basis 1 0 0, 0 1 0, 0 0 1 of R cube to the vectors 1 1, 2 3, 3 2 respectively. That is, 1 0 0 is mapping onto 1 1, then 1 0 1 is mapping onto 2 3, and this one is also this one. This is given. Then number 1, find T of 1 1 0, T of 6 0 minus 1. And number 2, find ker-T, image T. And number 3, prove that T is not bijective. Prove that T is not bijective. So we need to prove all of this. So to find the image of that element 1 1 0 or 6 0 minus 1 under this mapping T, at first we need to find out what is the rule for the mapping. So for that reason, we have given this one, this relation. That is, under this mapping T, these three vectors as mapping onto this one. Now check these three vectors. This is the basis of our domain set. That means whenever we will take any element, any arbitrary element from the domain set, this can be linearly expressible as a linear combination of these three elements, because this is a basis. So from here we are writing that let x, y, z belongs to the domain set, that is R cube, of which 1 0 0, 0 1 0 and 0 0 1 is a basis. So x, y, z can be written as the linear combination of 1 0 0 plus 0 1 0 plus 0 0 1. Right? Now we need to find out that C1, C2, C3. This is very easy in that particular problem because we have considered the standard basis. So if you equate both sides, what will you get? From the left hand side we will get x equals C1, C2 and C3 0, then y equals C1 0 only C2, and z equals then C1 C2 0 only C3. So from here we can write x into 1 0 0 plus y into 0 1 0 plus z into 0 0 1, right? This is our required solution. So xyz equals to this. Now we are applying t on both sides. So it will become t of xyz, and this will become t of this whole quantity. Now we can write it, we can break that t because t is a linear mapping and breaking is possible. So it will become x t of 1 0 0 plus y t of 0 1 0 plus z t of 0 0 1. Now we know all of these values because this is given in the question. So in the next line we are putting the values. In the next line we are writing t of xyz equals x into, what was the first element, first image, that was 1 1 plus y into 2 3 plus z into 3 2. This one. Now open these brackets and find the sum. It will become x plus 2y plus 3z comma x plus 3y plus 2z. This one. And we have chosen xyz arbitrarily, so this is true for all x comma y comma z belongs to the domain set. So for all x comma y comma z belongs to R cube. Okay, so this is the procedure of finding t, that is the rule for t. What will be the rule for particular mapping? When some images of some elements, especially the basis elements, images of the basis elements is given. Okay. Now when we know the rule for t, that is t of xyz will be equal to this, then we can easily find out the image of any element under t. So check the question number 1, find t of 1 0 0, 1 1 0. Now just put it, put the value, just a minute. So t110, now we have to put the value of x equals y, y equals 2 and 3, z equals, sorry, x equals 1, y equals 1 and z equals 0. So if you put, you will get 1 plus 2 and then 1 plus 3, that is 3 comma 4. This is the image. Similarly you can find t of the next one, 6 0 minus 1. So this will be equals 6 minus 3 and then 6 minus 2, which is again 3 comma 4. So these are the required images. Okay, now moving to the next question, number 2, which ask about find card t and image t. This wasn't number 2, this is already number 1. So moving to find image t and card t, we know how to do that. Let's do it again. To find card t means all of the collections xyz belongs to our domain set such that its image is the theta. That means the 0 0 element. So what does it mean? It means x plus 2y plus 3z comma x plus 3y plus 2z, this quantity equals 0 0. That means x plus 2y plus 3z equals 0 and x plus 3y plus 2z equals 0. Now 2 equations and 3 unknowns. What we can do? We can apply cross multiplication. So it will be 2 into 2 4 minus 3 into 3 9, then 3 minus 2 and then 3 minus 2 equal to some ksa, where k is obviously a constant. Then it will become x by minus 5 equals y by 1 equals z by 1 equals k. So x equals minus 5k, y equals k and z equals k, where k is a constant. Obviously belongs to R because we are dealing with the real number system. So k is a real constant. That means our xyz, which is actually our card t, is equals to this minus 5k comma k comma k. If you take common k, it will become minus 5 comma 1 comma 1. This is our required card T or kernel of T. That means these elements will map onto the theta element of the codomain space. Okay. Next, moving to the next part, which is called image T. We need to find out image T. So for image T, what theorem will we be using? We will use the theorem that is, we have to consider a basis for the domain set, then the elements which are the map of that basis elements, that is the images of that basis elements, will generate our image T. So for that reason, if we consider the given basis, suppose this standard basis is given here, right, and their images are also given. That means if we consider 1 0 0, 0 1 0 and 0 0 1, this is a basis for our domain set. Then its images, consider these images, these are given also in the question, which are 1 1, 2 3, 3 2, right? So according to the well-known theorem, that is the images of the basis element will span the image set, right? That means our image T will be equal to linear span of this quantity. So from here we can write down what will be our image T. This will be image T equals linear span of 1 1, 2 3 and 3 2. But check, these three elements won't form a basis of image T. Why? Because image T is a subset of R square, right? R square means dimension 2. That means a basis should contain only 2 elements, but these are 3. Obviously they will form linearly dependent set. So for that reason, if we want to find the dimension of image T, then what we have to do? We have to consider a subset of these 3 sets such that it forms a linearly independent set. For that reason, let us consider the first 2 vector and let's check they becomes linearly independent or not. So though the dimension of image T is not asked in the question, but we are trying to find it. So we get that image T is the linear span of this one, 1 1, 2 3, 3 2, right? But these 3 sets won't form a basis of image T because it's a subset of R square. So the basis should contain only 2 vectors. For that reason, from this set we are trying to get a 2 vector set which will be linearly independent. So let's take the first 2. If they become linearly dependent, we will take another 2 of them. If this becomes linearly dependent, we will take another 2 of them, and so on. So let's take 1 1 and 2 3. Let's check they are linearly independent or not. For that reason, considering this relation C1 plus 2 C2 equal to 0 and C1 plus 3 C2 equal to 0. Now if you subtract this, you will get C2 equal to 0. Putting it in any of the equation, you will get C1 equal to 0. That means C1, C2 both are 0. So this set is a linearly independent set. That means this will form a basis of image T. Okay. So the dimension of image T equal to 2 because the basis contains only 2 vectors. So this is our dimension of image T. But we haven't count the dimension of kernel T. Let's do it. What will be the dimension of card T? What was our card T? Card T is k into only one vector. That means we can write card T as the linear span of that vector. What was the vector? It was -5 1 1. That vector. This is our card T, linear span of this quantity, because that was the card T was actually k into this quantity. That is linear span of this. That means this is a single vector. Obviously this will be linearly independent, and then it will form a basis for card T which contains only one vector. So dimension of card T will be equal to 1. Okay, so from here we can also prove the well-known theorem, which is nullity plus rank equals dimension of V, which is true for here because nullity is 1, rank is 2, and dimension of V means R cube, which is obviously 3. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. The theorem is proved. Okay, and we have already found cut T and image T. Now moving to the next question, third question number 3, which states that prove that T is not bijective. Let's prove it. Bijective means injective plus surjective. So for the injectivity part, we have a very well known and very easy theorem, that is a linear mapping T will be injective if and only if cut T equals theta, right? But here what we have checked, cut T equals K into minus 5, 1, 1, which is obviously not equal to theta because this is a non-zero vector. So from this, by using this theorem, we can claim T is not injective. That means obviously T is not bijective, right? This proves the example. So this is how, if the question given like the image of basis elements, this is how we find out the rule for the linear mapping T. Next, moving to the composition of linear mappings. Composition of linear mapping. This is exactly like the composition of mapping or composition of function FOG and GOF, what you have learnt in first semester. This is exactly like this composition of linear mapping. Suppose we have V, W and U. These three vector spaces over a field capital F, and we are considering the first linear mapping T from V to W, and then we are considering another linear mapping S from W to U. Then their composition will be S composition T, because we know whenever we find out the composition of two mappings, S composition T means T comes first, then comes S, right? Composition of mapping, we have to count it from the right hand side, that is T comes first, then comes S. So T from V to W, then from W to U, it will be S. So what will be the domain and the codomain of S compositions T? It is starting from V, then W, then U. That means starting from V and ended at W. So from ended at U. So from V to U. So SOT, this mapping will be from V to U, and it is defined like that is S composition T of alpha, that means S of T alpha. That is on alpha, at first we have to apply the linear mapping T, then on that image we need to apply the linear mapping S. Then we will get S composition T. And obviously this will also form a linear mapping, because these are the composition of two linear mappings. So this will also form a linear mapping, and this is called the composition of two linear mappings S and T. Okay, so this is how we define the composite mapping, composition of linear mappings. So the next thing is we have to prove this composition is linear, which is obvious because we are composing two linear mappings, but we have to prove it anyway. So the next theorem is states that composition of two linear mapping is linear. Proof is very easy. Let the exactly just considering the previous one, that is let T from V to W and S from W to U be two linear mappings, and then we are considering their composition S composition T. Now we need to prove this is obviously from V to U. We need to prove this one would be linear. So for that reason we are considering two elements, alpha comma beta belongs to its domain space. Alpha beta belongs to V. Then starting with S composition T, alpha plus beta. So it will be S of T alpha plus beta. Now instead of T alpha plus beta, what we can write? T alpha plus t beta because t is linear. Then opening this, it will become st alpha plus st beta. That means started with st alpha plus beta and we ended at st alpha plus st beta. That means the first condition of being a linear mapping is satisfied. Moving to the second condition is composition T of C alpha. Exactly same proof. T of C alpha, we can write it as C T alpha because T is a linear mapping. Again we can put that C outside of this because again S is a linear mapping. So C of ST alpha. Okay. So started with this and ended at this. That means the second condition of being a linear mapping is satisfied. Then this ST is linear. ST or S composition T, the same thing, is a linear mapping. That means the composition of two linear mapping is always linear. Okay. Next is inverse of a linear mapping. What does it mean by inverse? Exactly just like the inverse of ordinary mapping or functions, just like the same example. So if a linear mapping T from V to W, let it's a linear mapping, we will say this is invertible or the inverse exists if there exists a unique mapping S, there exists a unique mapping S, obviously linear mapping, unique linear mapping S such that S obviously from W to V. Okay. So that means that domain and codomain will be interchanged with the inverse mapping. So there exists a linear mapping S from W to V such that ST equal to the identity mapping and TS equals to the identity mapping. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we will say the mapping, the linear mapping T is invertible and S will be T inverse. Okay. The concept is exactly like the general concept of mapping, inverse mapping, composition mapping, like this. So from here we can say one thing, that whenever the inverse exists, it should be always unique. And then another property of inverse linear mapping, exactly the same property, that is the mapping, the linear mapping will be invertible if and only if it is bijective. So the next theorem, it states that a linear mapping is invertible if and only if it is bijective. So let's prove it. At first we will prove it is injective. For that reason, let's take alpha comma beta belongs to the domain set. Suppose V, let T from V to W is a linear mapping. Okay. So let alpha comma beta belongs to V, and then starting with T alpha equal to T beta. That means the images of two elements are same. So we have to prove the elements are also same. Because for injectivity condition, we need to show that is for two different elements, their images should also be different. We are proving just the contrapositive statement. That means if the images are same, the elements should also be same. So taking T alpha equals T beta, applying S on both sides. S is the T inverse because we have taken T is an invertible mapping. So S is actually T inverse out. Okay. So applying ST alpha equals ST beta. Now ST means I. So I alpha equals I beta. That is alpha equals beta. That means from here we can say T is injective. Okay. Now we need to prove T is surjective also. For that reason, let us consider one arbitrary element from the codomain set of T. So let some gamma belongs to the codomain which is W. Again we have TS equal to the identity mapping, right? So from here we can write TS of gamma will be equal to gamma. Identity mapping means the mapping which maps each element onto itself. So TS gamma will be equal to gamma. So from here we can write T of S gamma equal to gamma. Now treat this S gamma as some element, suppose some beta. So T beta equal to gamma. That means beta is actually the pre-image of gamma under the mapping T, right? And we have chosen gamma arbitrarily. That means whatever element we can take from the codomain set, it always have a pre-image under this mapping T. So that means T is onto or surjective. So from there we can claim T is bijective. That means whenever a linear mapping is invertible, it is bijective. Now we need to prove the converse part. This part is very easy. I am leaving it to you. Do it yourself. This will be your homework. Okay? Very easy part. Just take this is bijective. You need to prove this is invertible. The proof is exactly same like the proof of normal mapping concepts. Okay? Next theorem or the next property of inverse mapping, it states that if T is linear and invertible, then T inverse is also linear. If T is linear, then T inverse is also linear. So let's prove. Let T from V to W. Then T inverse will also from W to V. This and this will be interchanged, codomain and codomain. We need to prove this is also linear. So let's take two elements from its domain. So let's take gamma comma delta belongs to W. And T inverse gamma equals some alpha and T inverse delta equal to some beta. Okay, that means gamma equals T of alpha and delta equals T of beta. Again T is linear, so from here T of alpha plus beta, what we can write? T alpha plus T beta. Now put their values. These are gamma plus delta. So from this one and this one, what we can claim? Alpha plus beta equals T inverse gamma plus delta. That means from here we can write alpha plus beta equals T inverse gamma plus delta. And what does it mean by alpha? Alpha means T inverse gamma. So T inverse gamma, and beta means T inverse delta. So this one we have chosen two element arbitrarily, gamma comma delta belongs to the domain of T inverse, and we get this one. So the first condition of being a linear mapping is satisfied by T inverse. Now moving to the next condition, taking one element and one scalar element. Let's take some gamma belongs to the domain and some C belongs to the scalar field. Then we are starting with T of C alpha. Alpha means the image of that gamma under the mapping T inverse. We have already written it. So starting with T of C alpha, we can write is C T alpha because T is a linear mapping. Now T alpha means gamma. So T C of gamma. So from here what we can write? T inverse C gamma equals C alpha. Again, what is alpha? Alpha means T inverse gamma. That is T inverse C gamma equals C T inverse gamma. That means that C can be put outside. So the second condition of being a linear mapping is satisfied also by T inverse. That is from here we can write T inverse is a linear map. That means whenever the inverse exists, the inverse mapping should also be a linear mapping. And the mapping T or the linear mapping T is said to be non-singular. It is said to be non-singular if it is invertible. That means if question comes like prove that a particular mapping given T mapping is non-singular, then what you have to prove? You have to prove it is invertible. That means if you can prove that this is bijective, then the theory will be done. Actually, then the problem will be done. It's bijective means it invertible, and that means it is non-singular. Now let's solve some examples. Example number 1. Let t from r square to r square defined by t x comma y equals x comma 0. T from r square to r square defined by this, and s also from r square to r square defined by s x y equals 0 comma y. Then describe the mappings st and ts. Very easy problem, st and ts. What will be the mappings? Okay, just the composition of two mappings we have to find out them. So st will be st of xy starting with this. That means s of txy. What does it mean by txy? According to the question, it means x comma 0. So t of x comma 0. Now what does it mean by s of x comma 0? The rule for s is this 0 comma 1. That means the first position will be 0 and the second position will be unchanged. So the first position is 0 and second position is 0, which will be unchanged. So 0 comma 0. Okay. Similarly, you can find out ts. This is your homework. The same thing. This is how we find out the composition of two mappings, st and ts. Okay. Now solving one exercise. Write down another example. This is from SK-MAPA exercise 17. Let s and t be two linear mappings of r square to r square. Let s comma t be two linear mappings from r square to r square defined by sxy equals x plus y comma y, sxy equals x plus y comma y, and txy equals x comma x plus y defined by this s and t. Then number 1, determine ts comma st. Number 1, determine ts comma st. This is question number 1. And question number 2 is prove that ts minus